Hello, and welcome to my session on From Classrooms to Community Empowering Students as a Citizen Scientist. My name is Marsha Sirkin, and I'm so happy to have you here today. Here's my why. I started off, I knew I wanted to be a teacher really early on. And my mother didn't really love school. In fact, she quit school and graduated with her GED when I was in middle school. And I wanted to be a teacher that made everyone feel included and made everyone want to be there. My mother didn't have a lot of positive interactions in school and didn't have really good memories. So I wanted to be a teacher that helped kids create really great memories in school. And then later on, as I became a mother, I realized that my wild children would not survive in the classroom settings that I had when I was growing up. Nothing against them, but times have changed. So I shifted my thoughts to more of engagement and STEM because I knew in good digital teaching and learning, because I wanted teachers to be protected and not be eaten by the children. So that is how my why shifted when I became a mother. And now this picture right here is historical because my children now are taller than me. Time has flown by, and they have just grown up, and now they are in middle school and high school. And I've shifted again, and I think, how are we preparing them for the unknown future? Are we giving them opportunities that match the industry that they're going to go into? Are we giving them opportunities to be creative? Are we giving them opportunities to collaborate and work with others? So my why has shifted somewhat, and I think about their futures, and I'm so thankful that they've helped guide me in that way. I've been an educator for 21 years. I've been with Carteret County Schools for a very long time, and just recently left and shifted to the Science House as the Coastal Satellite Office Director. And I get to do coaching and modeling and offer PD and STEM opportunities for teachers all in Eastern North Carolina. So I've had a really good and fruitful and happy career, and I'm happy to be sharing with you today. Anything that I share with you today, please know that you should never put your kids' information or sign up for a program or anything like that, but without the permission of your digital teaching and learning leads for your district. So a lot of times they put these things on lockdown anyway, but just never put their information in there. We want to protect our children. So it's really important that when you're dealing with a third party, they might not always have your kid's best interest at heart. So make sure that you go through the proper channels and avenues to make sure that their privacy and data security is where it needs to be. As far as alignment to new digital learning competencies, we everything that we're doing today aligns with the digital learning competencies. It's just a matter of what you decide that you want to do with it, because we're going to be citizen scientists, and all of these go right along with those. So when you saw the abstract for this session, this is what it was: a tech-infused journey into citizen science with your students. We're going to look at opportunities to meet North Carolina science standards while integrating innovative digital tools. So we're going to make learning thrilling and globally impactful. You're going to know about citizen science opportunities before you are done with me today. You're going to have a tool for finding citizen science opportunities, and hopefully you will connect with other people and share ideas. I always like to show this, even in virtual sessions where this is recorded and I may never see you, but it's just a little reminder to always connect with your people before sharing tons of content. With kids, I might do emojis or Disney characters or, just fun stickers, just to kind of see how they're feeling. Always try to connect with feelings before you overload with content. If you will access my bit.ly, you can, and that's on the very first slide, you can access also the citizen science think sheet where you can write down resources and ideas and maybe some next steps. It's just like a good little planning sheet for you. So think about this in terms of student engagement. Could you sell tickets to your class? Okay. Before you even think about selling tickets, would they show up if they didn't have to? Dave Burgess, who wrote the book Teach Like a Pirate, really struck me when he said, would kids show up if they didn't have to? And I thought, of course they would. I'm the STEM teacher. I love teaching kids, and they love me, and they would show up. And then he was like, okay, well, would they buy tickets? And I'm like, ooh, I don't know. Maybe not. There might be some duds in there. So that was just a good like a thermometer check on some lessons that I might could revamp and I might could change up. The ones that they might not show up for. What could I do to make them more engaging and meaningful for them? And using those digital learning standards that we all have are great ways to think of where can I zhuzh up my lessons to be more engaging and to be more relevant. So this year, all of the science teachers have new science standards. And some people might go, oh, they're not really that new. Well, they are new and they might look similar to what they looked like before, but they have something really important in them now. All the new science standards have what we call SEPs, the science and engineering practices, built right into those standards. And so that's really great because we're able to now say science isn't something that you can just give them a textbook on and say, read this chapter, test this chapter, read this chapter, test this chapter. We can no longer do that and say that we're really teaching science. Science is to be something that we experience. So it's something that we discover. And all of these pieces right here are part of that. And they're embedded into the new North Carolina science standards. And they're called the SEPs, the science and engineering practices. And these are all great pieces that align directly with the digital learning standards and the portrait of a graduate, which is really awesome. So they're all things that are helping our children become stronger learners, better communicators, and stronger thinkers. And I'm really excited about that. So as I was researching what to do for this session, I came across Karen Cook, who happens to be a colleague of mine at NC State. I didn't know that until I started doing a little cyber stalking on Twitter, or X, I would say. But she wrote this in her book, The Field Guide to Citizen Science. Citizen science brings science within reach by connecting two critical ingredients: you and teams of scientists who need and value your help for authentic research. So there's so much research going on out there right now that scientists need your help. They need your help. They need people to help collect that data for them. And so that is, in a nutshell, what scientist is. Citizen scientist is. You are helping scientists collect data so that they can inform their research, and research informs policy, which also informs funding. So great things that can happen. You can make a huge difference by contributing to this data collection. But then what's in it for the kids, So think about it this way. When children are participating in citizen science opportunities, they are helping develop their piece of natural history. They are part of this. So I live on the coast of North Carolina, and I was working with some students at Cape Lookout. And we were looking at all the different flora and fauna that lived on the island and around the island. And we were on the sound side of the island, and I said, look behind you. And they looked behind them, and there were some trees, lots of pine trees. I said, this is called a fake forest. And they're like, what is that? And I was like, well, a fake forest. This forest was planted by Boy Scouts. And these were middle schoolers that I was talking to. It was like kids your age in the 50s planted these trees. And it was a forest of pine trees that these children planted because erosion was a huge problem on the island. So these trees that you could look at, those were planted by children your age, and it made a huge difference. That was their natural history. They were contributing. So those children were able to see that and see that, wow, what I do really can make a difference. Also, you are the expert of your surroundings. Your students are the experts of their schoolyard, of their backyard. Okay. Let them explore that and bring that to the table. Also, pairing those positive experiences with those great with that great content, it strengthens those neural pathways to help them recall and remember. Much better than a worksheet, much better than just a passage to read. This puts them in the experience, and it's using those science and engineering practices. Okay, so I want you to think about this piece right here, this area right here. If you were outside, what could you teach with that? And just think about what you could teach with that. Just getting outside. You can pause and think about it. You can teach decomposing here. You can talk about plant respiration here. You can talk about living and non-living things. You can talk about different biomes. You can talk about, if in the younger grades, you can talk about color. You can write poetry about what you're seeing. There's so many things that you can do if you can just help get the children outside. So, I mentioned the Field Guide to Citizen Science. This is what the cover looks like. This is by Karen Cooper. She's great. She also, this specific book is on the Libby app. So if you subscribe to your local library's digital library, you can check this out in Libby and use it. And you don't even have to purchase it. It's really great. But she's talking about how to choose a citizen science project. Okay. How do you do that? And what do you need to think about? And she posted these 4 questions that I felt like really helped contribute to a good citizen science project. Are you on the same page? Okay. Do you believe in what the citizen science project is promoting? Okay. Are you going to be treated like a member of the team? Are you going to get information back into what you put in there? Okay. Is your work valuable? Okay. It doesn't fit with what you're trying to teach. And will you receive feedback on what you've put in? So those are all good things to think about when you're choosing a citizen science project. And they're not all created equally. There's tons of them out there. Here is a citizen science project. We've talked about like environmental education, but here's one that is no longer, this has been collected already, but I just felt like this right here was very powerful. This is on behavioral science. So this was a project that's just spurred from curiosity. And that's one of the great things about science is it stems from curiosity, being curious. And scientists at MIT were like, these emojis, we feel like they are carrying more weight and meaning than what maybe they were initially thought of when they were created. What can we do with that? What do we know about it? And that's how the Deepmoji project started. And again, this one is over now, but they've been able to use it in other things. Like think about if you have someone go into the hospital, the pain meter now is emojis. Okay. If I talk to you on social media, a lot of times you're going to get a lot of emojis because that's the language that I speak on social media or in text too, because it conveys a lot of information, thoughts, and feelings in a symbol, which is really cool. And it's something that our children really respond to too. Here's another one. This is my dog. Her name is Maggie May. Isn't she precious? This is Cbark and Febark. And if you go into this session through the bit.ly, you can click on this link. This is a citizen science opportunity, and it's all about the behaviors of animals. Of Cbark is for canines and Febark is for felines. And they take the data on there's like a survey that you can put in information about your pet, and they track the trends and information about different species and genders of animals, and they come up with facts based on the trends of what has happened over time. So that's really neat, really cool. And everyone loves talking about their pets. Everyone loves learning about their pets. So this is a great way. You could send this home with parents to do with their children about their pets. You could model it about your pet and get that information back. Really neat stuff. So when we did this in person, we visited spaces around the room and just wrote thoughts on chart paper about ideas for our classroom. Clearly, we can't do this here virtually, so I'm just going to share with you the slides that have these 5 different citizen science opportunities. So you get to go through and here in this session, you can go into this document right here. You can click on the QR codes, and that will take you to 5 different citizen science opportunities that you can explore. Okay. Also, there's another website that's really great, and it's called SciStarter. And SciStarter is for adults and children, and that is where you can search different citizen science opportunities that are going on. And you can look for stuff that's online, you can look for stuff that's analog, and you send it in. So many different opportunities. Now, I will tell you, don't just jump in and pick one and do it without like researching it, go into it. Some things might look really interesting, but it might be only available in February or only available for like a couple of weeks out of the year. So like really look into it as you're looking, but this is a great place to find great projects. And there's several here in North Carolina that you can contribute to, or you can contribute globally. So I'm always, when you come to my sessions, I like to give you opportunities to learn a little bit, and then also to find more information. So here's some great people that I follow on Twitter regularly and on social media, and they are always sharing great things that are happening in their classrooms, in the world, working with adult learners, all sorts. So these are some great people that I love to follow that are always sharing because, I can't visit all the classrooms around, and these guys are sharing all the time. So this is a great way to like take a little virtual field trip and see what's going on in the world, and great people who are always sharing great information. Here's also some great books that I highly recommend. There's Karen Cooper's book on the Field Guide to Citizen Science. Again, you can get that on Libby. There's some AI stuff. That's a real hot topic right now. There's some, I love EDU protocols, but tons of good things. And I always can recommend a good book. Again, my name is Marsha Sirkin, and I'm happy to help you in any way. I love working with NCBOLD, and I love working for NC State for the Science House, and helping teachers and kids get excited about STEM and science and just being curious in general. If there's anything I can do for you, please reach out.